All right, everybody. Welcome to lesson 2.2b, notes in solving systems graphically. And we're going to use calculator skills with graphing, windows, intersections, and matrices. So the first thing we're going to do, just kind of make sure you understand where things are. So get your calculator. I'm not going to go to it yet, but at the top left, there's the y equals. Okay. You have to know where that is. Here's where this key is for the variable x. Any variable that we're using, but we always use that one, so it's going to appear x. Know the difference when you're going to use the minus sign and the negative sign. Now, when you accidentally use the negative sign instead of the minus sign or vice versa, you will always get a syntax error, and I'm going to show you that in this next screen when I jump over to the calculator. So I'll do that in just a second. I'm going to be going back and forth between the calculator on my computer and the iPad on my iPad with the notes. So bear with me as I go back and forth. All right, let's go to the. Okay, so you have the calculator over here. So we're going to go to y equals. And then we're going to put in the equation that you have on number 3 from your notes, where it says y of 1 of x equals negative x cubed minus 3x squared plus 2x minus 5. And this is where I'm going to do a syntax error. And I'm just going to go hit that, and I'm going to graph. And if you notice, it says error, syntax. So that means this is a more of an error, such as maybe you do 2 pluses, or you left off a parentheses, or something like that. So if you go to hit number 1 and go to, it usually goes to a problem, but here's my problem, and it usually blanks on it and shows you where it's at. So with this one, I'm going to clear this. I want to actually put in, you can change it like that. All right, so now we're getting into the rest of the equation, which is minus 3x squared. Squared is over here by the, next to the comma. And then we're going to do plus 2x minus 5. And hit enter. Okay, when you hit enter, it tells you, it just said hit graph, and then it says hit graph. So we're going to hit graph, and you see this, okay? So your graph should appear whatever was the last one to use. So yours may be cleared out, but if somebody borrowed your calculator, it's going to look what it looks like. So now we're going to press zoom, then choose 6 Z standard. So here's zoom, number 6 right here. So down here to 6 right here. Okay. This gives us what we call a nice window box here. Okay. I want you to think of what's going up and down here. Okay, up this way is the, this is your y-axis. This is your x-axis. When you go to window, like it tells you to hit window, when you hit window, that's that x and y axis. So here, this is domain. Oh, it goes away. So that's domain. Y is range. So it's telling me it's like I have a grid, a piece of paper. It's from -10 to 10. So what they want you to do, number 6 says, this allows you, about to talk to the window, this allows you to set the window, domain, and range to anything you want. It looks like there's more there's more going on towards the bottom of the graph that we cannot see. What we need to see on the lower graph. You always want to see everything. I'll go back to graph. You want to see all of this, what's happening here. I can tell it's going down. I just not sure. I know it's going down and coming back up because of what's happening right in this area. Sorry, right in this area. Okay. So now we're going to do what it says. So let's change the window to see with the domain. To set the domain, so I'm going to window. I'm going to go, it wants me to do -5. Notice that the minimum is written first, just like we do in our setting interval notation for domain. So they want you to change that to a -5, enter to 5. So make sure the minimum is written down. This next part is called the X scale. It's going by 1, so that's what it means. And then they want you to change this to a -12 and then a 3, just like what it shows you there, and then in a graph. So now that you see that, we actually have some part of the graph, not all of it. So they want to know, how can you change the window? So we're going to make adjustments. You make adjustments now. Try and figure out what you want to change it to. Now, I'm going to change my window. Let's see. I want to see more, like I said, more of the bottom down here. So I want to set this, oops, sorry. Go to window. I'm going to set this down here to maybe be like a -15 and see what happens. I want to graph, and now it shows all of that. Now let's just say you're adjusting it and you decide to do something like a -50 because you're not sure how far down to go. This is not a good guess, okay? You want to make sure, see all these lines that are like, looks like a lot of lines there? That's not a good guess. So you want to make sure it's guess possible. If I ask you to do this on a quiz or a test, and you give me something like that, you're not going to get credit for that, because that's just putting anything else without really understanding what that window looks like. So we'll go back to the 15, graph it, and now we can see the whole graph. Okay. Let's go on to number 8. Okay, we're going to go y equals. You can go over here to the clear button and change that. And so we'll put it into, here we have, so enter that function, it's y1, 2/5 x squared minus 4x minus 7. It says, note to enter fractions, press alpha y equals. So if you have an older calculator or even an older CE, you can go alpha y equals and number 1, and you'll do that part right there, the little fraction looking thing. If you have a newer graphing calculator and you note this part right here, which looks like a calculator, then you can actually just go alpha x and it'll show it. So if there's a fraction, use a fraction. Use the fraction key or the fraction form. Okay, so x minus 4x plus, excuse me, minus 7, enter, graph. Now, what you should always do before you even graph it, if you did that, so if I went back to y equals, even at y equals, if I hit zoom and I want to go to the standard window every single time, you can type in 6 or arrow down to 6. It'll put it in that friendly window for you. We know this is a quadratic, so we know there's like a vertex. There's a minimum down here. It's got a little valley, if you want to call it. So we're going to find it. So you're going to create your window. Find the window and fill in the blanks that you've given, okay, on your thing. So I'm going to do a window. Go back to my graph. So it looks like I need to go over more towards the X max and down towards more the Y minimum. So if I go to my window, I'm just going to leave my minimum that way for X. I want a max. So I'm going to try 15 again. And then, like I said, I wanted to keep, I want more of the minimum. So what if I did a -20, enter, and then I hit graph. Okay, now it shows everything. Okay. All right. So write that down on your notes and see what your window is. So here's my window. You could write that down if you didn't do so. This part right here and this part right here. All right, So the next one we're going to do with the fraction on the calculator. So what I want you to do is go to second and mode button. Just remember, if you want a blue key, you hit the blue key and then whatever word it is. So if words or whatever in blue, then you hit the second button, then that key. If you want the alpha, the green, you're going to hit alpha first, the green key, and then whatever is in green you can hit next. Okay. So let's do this one. It's telling you to enter a fraction here. So if you go to, again, whichever way I have it on here, I'm going to alpha this way, 9, arrow down 22, go out of the fraction. Make sure you're paying attention that you're out of the fraction. Oops, I'm here trying to do this without. I'll just delete alpha y equals 15 divided by 7. And then make sure you're outside that fraction by hitting arrow over to the right, enter, and there's my fraction. If for some reason you wind up with a decimal, if you start with a fraction, you should end with a fraction. So just go into math and hit the number 1, and it'll change your answer into fraction. Okay, so let's go on. All right, so I'm going to go and look at part B, finding points of intersection. I do have another video on there that just goes straight from, I think it's a TI-84 or a Texas Instrument video for this part of the calculator or something like that, but I'm also going to do it here. So if we need to find points of intersection, which remember are the solutions. So I'm going to switch screens real quick. Okay, so I'm on this page with y'all. Okay, right here we're going to have, we're going to put these points of these into our graph. After that, then we're going to do this certain thing. So, sorry, I don't know why it came back, but switch screens. I'm going to go to y equals, clear this up. My first graph is x squared. My second graph is 0.5x plus 2. Now before, if you notice, after both equations in the Z standard window, so go ahead and hit zoom 6 so that you see that you're in this window, okay? Let me see if I can make this a little bit. Okay, so we see this intersection happening here between these two parts where it's right here and then right here, okay? So what we want to do is find those points of intersection. So what you're going to do is you're going to hit second and this trace calc key. Okay, and then we want number 5, intersect. When you do that, hopefully you're right here, your first thing's jumped right here on 0, 0, first curve. So you need to pay attention. My first curve is, and up here at the top, it's telling you what the curve is, and I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so yes, that's my first curve. So I'm going to hit enter, and then now it's going to jump to my second curve, and so I'm going to hit enter. Now always ask if you want to guess. I don't know why it does that, but we don't want to guess, so don't guess. Obviously don't guess. So we're going to hit enter, and then it gives you a point. So at this intersection right here, I have a point of negative 1.186, and then y point 1.40. Now I'm around 3 places every time. So this answer should be 1.406, excuse me, 1.407. Okay. So make sure we write that down. So that intersection is trying to write this. It's not working this way. Comma. Rounding 3 places. Point of intersection right there. Okay. So now let's go do the other side. So we're going to get second, trace. Okay. Second trace, number 5 again. And what we want to make sure is that we want to be over here. We want to be right here. Why does it keep going to eraser? Sorry. So what you want to do is, I'm on the blue curve. So I want to come over to this side over here. So I'm going to arrow to the right. And that's going to get me closer to that intersection. Don't get on top of it, just get closer to it. Then you're going to hit enter. The second curve is red, yes. Enter. I don't want to guess. And then enter. And there's your new point section. When you write down your notes, I don't need to know which side you're on. I just need to know the 2 points of intersection and that you rounded it correctly. All right, so your intersection is 1.686, comma 2.843. Okay, let's see. We're going to go on to the next one. I'm going to go back to okay. So if you look, we're on this page here. So I just want my answers here. So for one side, we had negative 1.186. That was our first one, 0.407. This was actually on the left side of the graph. And then the other point we had was 1.686 and comma 2.843. And I believe that was on the right side. It's on the right side. Again, I don't have to know which side it is. I just want to make sure that you know where I got. All right. Okay, let's go on. So next thing we're looking is matrices. Okay. This should look familiar. This is the system that we did the last class, solving 3 equations. And so what we want to look at is, first of all, recognize that we have 3 rows. 1, 2, 3. And then we also have 4 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that everything is moved that does not have a variable attached to it is moved on the right side and all the variables on the other. Also notice that this is alphabetical order. Okay. So when we look at this, if it's rows by columns, so we always talk about rows by columns. If you ever heard of RC Cola, rows, columns first. So when we do that, so that we know we have 3 rows by 4 columns. Okay, so let's set this matrix up. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the coefficients that you said. So when you get done, it should look like this, but I want to make sure you understand how to do it. All right. Okay, so I'm going to clear out this. I'm going to go to the home screen. Everything up. Now, when you're here, I want you to notice that everything under the matrix is right here under this part right here. Why does it not let me write? Oh, I figured it out now. Okay, so right here, let me change this color so you can see it better. Here's the matrix. So everything we're going to do is going to be in the matrix. The first thing you want to do is hit second and go to the x-1 key, matrix. There are 3 things. First, we have to edit. So the first one you'll do is edit. So you go over there to edit and then hit enter. Now earlier we talked about the 3 by 4 numbers that we had. This is where you're going to need that. Okay. So we're at that where it's flashing. You're going to hit a 3 and then hit enter, 4, enter. And then notice that you have this nice little table. And what we're going to do, we're only entering the coefficients. So if you go back to what we had first -4. And every time you do it, hit enter. And I'm going across by row. -5, -1, enter, and then 18. Enter. And it won't go into the cells until you actually hit enter. Okay, so now that you have everything in there, check, make sure that it matches what you have on your paper, because you are the error. The calculator gives you something. You can't say, well, the calculator, that's what I have my calculator, which is true, but you're the error, not the calculator. So we're going to go to the home screen by hitting second mode button and just quit for in blue. And then now we want to kind of do the math with it. So we want to make sure do all that stuff you did on solving those 3 variables on your last lesson and last assignment. The calculator is going to do it right now for you. So we're going to hit second matrix again. Okay. And this time we're going to go over to math. So these are a lot of things that you can do math-wise. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to letter B. You can go 2 ways. You can arrow up or arrow down to get to B. It doesn't matter. And it's the letter B right there. You want RREF. Very important that you want this only. If you do the REF, you're not going to like it when you get done. So hit enter. When you hit enter, you have this little thing waiting. Now we need to know something to do the math too. So in order to do that, we're going to go over to matrix again. We got to get the name of it. So second matrix, number 1. I always close my parentheses. This is where you can also do, if you want your answers in fractions, because there could be fractional answers. This is where you're going to do math 1. You don't have to do that. for this problem, but I just want you to know that that's how you do it. You hit enter, and then you're going to get this whole thing right here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to, I'm going to write this down, and I'll kind of talk about what you see here. Okay. Let me go back. Okay. So this is what we have on you. This is what you have on your computers, on your calculator. Calculator is a little mini computer. Okay. So it tells on here your answer is in the last column, but I want to make sure you understand it, what this is doing here. Okay, so if you remember up here, these are all X's, these are all Y's, and these are all Z's. So this is telling you these are X's, this is your Y's, and these are Z's. But you want to look this way as well. So what I'm showing here, if I just want, I have 1X plus 0 Y's plus 0 Z's gives me a -4, and that tells me that X equals -4. Second thing, I have a 0x plus a y plus a 0z equals 0. Therefore, y equals 0. These, just go away. They're just zeros. They don't count anymore for us. So the last one, thinking of that idea, 0x's, 0y's plus 1z gives me a, sorry, I wrote this to be a -2, -2. So therefore, that's gone. So we say z is -2. And again, so this is your solution. So that means it's going to be -4, comma 0, comma -2 is your solution. So one thing nice about that is you have this now. You can check your work on there when you're getting to your answers for the matrices that you're, the system you're doing. But you've got to show your work unless you get to use a calculator. Okay. So last assignment, show work. This one, you'll get to use your calculator. Okay. So let's go on to the next part. And we're going to talk about solving nonlinear equations, okay, by graphing. So the calculators here are entering an equation and graphing it, being able to move from graph to graph on the screen, finding intersection points. And this is all based on the calculator. So let's discuss really quick, make sure that we understand. If you have a parabola and a line, a parabola looks like this, and a line obviously looks like this. So if I want to know how many solutions I can have, well, if I draw my parabola like this, and I don't want any solutions, that means they never intersect. So I can have a line like that. They're never going to connect. So that's 0. Okay. We can also have one solution. If I have my parabola here, and I have a line, the line can go like touch at one little spot. Okay. That means I have one intersection. And the last one is to have 2. And we just had graphed it at the beginning. I mean, when we're trying this intersection part. So if I graph, I have a parabola. Here's my line. It's going to intersect here at 2 spots. So 0, 1, and 2 possibilities. Okay, next one's a circle. Okay, so when we have a circle, there's a circle. Trying to do that snap part. There's a circle. And I have a parabola. So if I want not to have, I want 0, then they just don't intersect. Just like we do them. They're going to be a different place. Okay, they may be down here. This is 0. Let's say I want to do one intersection. What does that look like? It's a lot like the above one, but this time I'll just put it here. It's going to touch at one spot. Not drawing that really good. Okay, this is one. Can we show two solutions? The two solutions would be, here's my circle. So I only want to touch at two spots. So maybe the graph is going to look like this. 1, 2. So 2. So now I can have 2. Can we draw with 3 solutions? So here, if I have 3 solutions, I'm going to have it come through. It's going to touch, and then it's going to come back up. So here's 1, 2, 3 solutions. And then the last one, maybe, let's try and see if we can have 4 solutions. So if I take my graph, if I want 4 solutions, it means it needs to go twice here, back up, and twice again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So let's look at how to graph these. Okay, so first of all, make sure you can recognize what you have graphing here. We're graphing a line and a line. You're going to graph it on your calculator, get a solution, and then come back and draw it on the here as well. Okay, so let's go to our calculator. Go here, clear, clear. So the first equation we have is, so I'm going to fraction 1/3 x minus 5, enter, and then I have negative 3/4 x plus 2. And then now we're going to hit graph. And as long as you can see your points of intersection here, right here. Okay, that's what we want to find out. So what we need to do is find the intersection. We're going to go to second, trace, second, trace, 5. There's my first curve. Usually, ideally, you want to arrow over to closer to that, but you don't have to closer to the intersection. You don't have to. As long as you see, I only have 2 curves. The first curve is a blue one. Yes, that's my first curve. Yes, the red is my second curve. When I hit enter, do I want to guess? No, tell me what the intersection. So the intersection here is, and we're going to round these to 3 places every time. So we have x is 6.462, round to 2 places, comma, negative 2.846. And then when you go to graph it, you want to make sure that when you sketch the graph, it looks like what you're seeing. Don't be too, I know it's a sketch, but let's just don't make a bad sketch. All right. Okay, I'm going to skip. Well, let me not skip. Let's go to number 2. The only thing I want to say about number 2 is I want to make sure that you see how to, that you always have to be in y equals. You have to solve everything for y equals. It cannot be, hold on. Everything must be in y equals form. So when you're looking here, I want to set all this equal to y. So this needs to move over here, and this needs to move over there. Does not matter what you put first because we're just putting things in the calculator. This is a parabola, sorry. And we have a line. So the other one is going to be y equals, and you can do 4 plus 3x. Doesn't matter which order it is in. We don't care if it's slope intercept form or anything like that. Okay, so go graph that. Put in your y equals, clear everything out. All right, we should have x squared. Now, because I can't see that in my window, I'm going to have to change it so I can see. So I need to really just move the y minimum, excuse me, maximum to where I can see more. So the y maximum, excuse me, has to be higher. So I'm going to make this maybe a 15. I'm not sure. I can barely do it. You probably want to make sure that you have a good, you can see it. So if you want to go to 18 or 20, that's fine. But this is where it comes in that you have to know how to do a good window. Okay, so again, second trace, 5. First curve, it's blue, yes, hit enter. Second curve, red, yes, enter, enter. Okay, so your solution for this one should be, one of them is negative 0.303, and your y value is 3.092, right? Yeah, 3.092. Okay, so now we want to go to the second. So we're going to hit second, trace number 5 again. Notice that we're over here in this area. You do not want to be here. Okay, you want to be, we've already done this, so we want to go up this way. So what you want to do is take your cursor, and I'm on the blue graph. You could be on the red graph, doesn't matter. I'm going to be on that one. I'm on the parabola. And so now I'm going to hit enter. Okay. And then the second curve is there, hit enter, and then enter again. So your other point should be 3.303, and the other point is 13.908. Okay, when you do this, make sure that you're paying attention to how many places you go. I mean, I'm at a y equals 13. This is positive, positive, right? X is positive and y is positive. So when you get an intersection, you should be also evaluating now. Just because your calculator did it doesn't mean it's right. You could have been the one that, put it in wrong. Okay. Okay, so make sure that you draw it on your graph as well. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. All right, I'm going to change screens. Sorry about how long it's taking to go in between. Okay, so I'm going to look at both of these functions before I go to graphing. Now, this is the equation of a circle. And the reason we know it's a circle, you have a square on the x and you have a square on the y. This is a line. Every time we graph in the calculator, we have to be in y equals. So we're going to have to solve this equation for y equals. So I'm going to rewrite it here. All right, y squared, move that over. And I'm going to put it like this. Okay, I created a binomial. I cannot separate those two from each other when I take the square root. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides because I have a square. I want it to just be just a y. But remember, when you take the square root of both sides, when it comes to an equation, you have to have a plus or minus. Okay, and what's underneath there is this. You cannot take the square root of the x squared and get rid of it and just make it an x. It's a binomial. It must stay like that. Now, the thing is, this is two possible solutions. So we're going to have to write two equations. So I'm going to write the first one as y1. And I'll just take the positive. So that's y1. y2, and I'm going to make it the negative. And our last equation we have, that's just the circle. Don't forget the line up here. So we're going to enter all three of those, okay? I want to solve the other equation first, and then I'll come back to graphing so I don't have to go back and forth on it. So here, again, this time we have a circle, and we have a parabola. Again, they all must be in y equals, not y squared, not x squared. So I'm going to do this one first and solve it for y. I wrote this with the different way than the other one, just putting the x part first, that term first, but it doesn't really matter. Just want to see it's both the same. So now we're going to take this square root. So we get y equals plus or minus x squared, negative plus 16. I have two equations here because of the plus and minus. So I'm going to write both of them. So y1 is going to be, I'll just do the positive first, negative x squared plus 16. Again, I cannot take the square root of those things underneath the radical. They're being held together by that plus. So y2 is going to be the negative of what's up here. So I'll move this up here because I'm not the one trying to cram it in there. So y2 equals negative x squared plus 16. And then up here is y. We got to make this set equal to y. So y equals negative 4 plus x squared. And this is y3. So let's go to our calculator, and we're going to put both of those one at a time into our calculator and then figure out how to find it. All right. Okay, so y equals, we're going to clear this out and clear this out. So for the first one that we had, y1 we said was the square root of 8 minus x squared. Enter. y2 was the negative of it. 8 minus x squared. And then the last one was the line, negative 3x plus 1. Okay. So now look how weird that sounds. You don't really need to adjust the window, but just I like it to be a circle. That's what it looks like. So if I hit window, excuse me, I hit second. Sorry, guys. I'm going to go back to the graph. Hit zoom. And you see here where it says square. Okay. The square right there really will make it into this nice window where you get to see it. So hit graph. Sorry. Hit the 5. Now it looks like it. I'm going to change my window because look how small this is, and I can't really see what's going on. You want to get a good part of the intersection, so if it's really small. So if I hit zoom 6 and then hit zoom 5, I'll be back into something like that. All right, so we're going to go second, trace, 5. Okay, I don't know where your cursor decided to jump by. Mine went to the blue up here at the top. So I remember I have 3 lines. I have to find the intersection right here, this part up here at the top and this part here at the bottom. Notice that it's on certain parts of the circle. So we need to make sure that we're using everything. And that's why we had to have all those different functions, those equations. So, okay, I'm on the first curve is blue. Yes, enter. The second one, we don't want to be red because they're not intersecting. That's the same circle. I need to look at the black, the line. So if you hit the up button, it's going to go to that one. We don't want that one. If we go to hit it again, it's going to go to the curve that we want. Okay. And so the thing is, you have to kind of pay attention to what you're doing. And hopefully this doesn't give us an error. Nope. And there's your intersection. So the intersection is -0.5. And then that's going to round it to an 8, 9, comma, 2.766. Because that's this part up here. Okay. All right. So now let's go and do the other one. So again, just hit second, second trace, 5. Now my first curve is blue. I don't want it to be blue, so I'm going to arrow up or down, doesn't matter which one you want to do. So if you do the black one and it hits the black one, that's fine. The best thing you want to do is go to the arrow to the right so it gets closer to where the intersection would be. Do not be too close to it or it won't work. And then when you hit enter, the second curve, no, is not blue. So again, we're going to hit up or down, whichever you want to go, but we need the red. And now we're on the red. So now we're going to hit enter, enter. And then now our intersection is 1.189, comma, -2.566. And you'll need to draw that on your graph. All this should be listed, both points. Okay, now let's go to the other one. Go to y equals, hit clear, clear, and clear. Example number 4 for this, we did the first one we said was going to be the second square root. I did -x squared, and it's a plus 16. I need to do the negative. So you have to hit the negative first, then second square root x squared plus 16. Enter. And the last one was a -4 plus x squared. And then we're going to hit graph. So, that's not a circle. So I did something wrong. So I'm going to go back to my equations. I left the negative off on the inside. So if you do that, one thing that's good about your calculator, if you hit second delete button for the insert and put that negative and minus in there or negative in there, you don't have to do that. You don't have to go and do the whole thing. Now hit graph. There we go. There's my circle. Okay, so now we have 3 points intersection. So now we got to find those. Second trace, 5. First curve. So if you notice, you have 2 parts that you want to do. If you arrow over closer to the point you want, it'll do that, and then it'll make it easier. So now that's the blue. I need the black one, so I'm going to hit enter. I don't want a red, so I'm going to enter. I don't want the blue, and I want the black. And again, you can arrow up this closer to the intersection, and then hit enter, and then enter. So we have intersection at, what is that? Negative 2.646. There's a decimal point there, comma 3. All right, let's go to find the other one. Second trace, 5. Or second calcs, trace. So now I'm going to go over, I'm on the blue curve. Since it's already blue, I'm just going to arrow over here. Now, if you want to move on a curve, you hit left and right. If you want to switch from graph to graph, you have to hit up or down. Okay, so now I'm going to hit enter. I don't want that to be red, my second curve, so I'm going to go to it till I hit it. And that's what I want. Again, you can arrow up to get close to it, hit enter, and then enter. So now you have another one, looks like the same as what we have here, which it should be. If you can draw a nice little graph right through here. And that all has the same 3 value in the y, but this is a positive 0.2646. Okay, now let's find the last one. So second trace, number 5. Okay, we don't want blue. We want it to be red. Yes, we do. Then we're going to hit enter. We want it to be black. Let me see what happens if I don't move it down. It automatically moves there. Now the thing with this is, because I didn't get close to it, if you see this number here, if you remember scientific notation, that E means negative 5.99. So negative 6 times 10 to the negative 7. So that means it wants you to move this decimal place 7 times. Well, that's just 0. And you can see that it's 0. Another way you can do it is find the vertex. But with this one, if I'm going to try it again, sometimes it doesn't work for you, and sometimes it will. Because I wasn't close to where I wanted it to be, okay, I'm going to move it off there a little bit. I'm going to hit enter, and there's the black one. Maybe it'll be nice. Nope, it's still going to do it. And you can't always make it do that. You can't make it do anything else. Sometimes it's going to be like that. If you ever question that, just looking at it, does it look like you're going to have a vertex at 0, -4 on this graph? So this answer is really 0, -4. Okay, so make sure you graph those and put them on your paper. I want to go and do one more part of the notes, and I'm going to stop the video. Let's see, I want to print here. Okay, so just want to make sure that when you want to put this in a matrix, what it looks like, just remember these, it's going to be, this is how we draw matrices. It has these little big brackets, and so it would be 2, 3, -2, 4. So I just took that from here. The next row, these coefficients here, that's a 1, 3, -3, 4. And then my last row, 3, -6, +1, -3. Again, rows by columns, this is a 3 by 4. Most of the time when you do a system like this, it's 3 by 4. Okay, and then put in your calculator. go through the directions and what we did earlier and do that again. This last one I want to look at is that notice that it's not written that way. This plus 10 doesn't have a variable and it's on this side. When we did all the other ones, all the variables were on one side. Anything that didn't have a variable, a constant, was on the other side. So you need to do the same thing here before you put in your graphing calculator, because these rows and columns have to be the same. So if I say I have 3 rows, and I have to have 3 rows. If I say I have 5 columns, I didn't have 5 columns. I have to have 4 after 4. But here, if you do it this way, you're saying there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but this one has 1, 2, 3, 4. They can't have that in one matrix. So I'm going to rewrite the top column, and I'm going to rewrite it as 4x minus 3y plus z equals, and I move the 10 over there and minus 10. The second one stays the same. There's nothing to move over. It still equals 0. The last one, negative x plus 2y minus 5z, and move that over, gives me a positive 17. So when I go put that into my matrix, oops, my calculator's doing some more stuff. Oh, it stopped. Okay. Nope. All right. And just one more time, we're going to go here. We're going to go second quit. We're going to go to always the matrix. Lucky for us, if we enter here, you can do the same one. This is a 3, enter by 4. You don't have to re-enter that. All you got to do is go down here and put the numbers in. So I'm actually going to put the numbers in for the matrix that I just did for example 2. So 4, enter, negative 3. It's much faster on a calculator than on the computer with the calculator to put things. If it's supposed to be a 0, you put a 0, okay? Again, when you get done, go back and check to make sure that you have this right. Easy to accidentally leave off a negative or put a negative in where it doesn't belong. Okay, so if I were to now go find the answer, so second quit, and then we're going to hit second, matrix again, do the math, find R, R, E, F. And so that here is a letter B. And then I'm going to go back and get to second matrix and get the name. I'm always going to be the person that's going to do math 1, because if my answers have to be in fraction, I want them in fraction. And so now you see your solution here is just these values in this last column. Why is it right here? So we have answers 1, 4, negative 2. That's your solution. Okay. So this is a kind of a long video with all the things that we have to do. I'm going to go ahead and do the other matrix that we did, so make sure that you have it in there. So I'm still going to go to edit, enter. And for some reason, I lost my notes. Okay, so now I have again, I'm doing example 1. And then always check to make sure you have the right. 2, 3, negative 2, 4, 1, 3, negative 1, 2, 1, 3, negative 3, 4, 3, negative 6, 1, negative 3. So we're going to hit second, go to the home page, green. I'm just going to go second matrix, find it, go to B, enter. Second matrix, grab the name of it, close it, and I'm not going to do the fraction key. Let's see what happens. I'm going to live dangerously. Oh, so see, there's where my fraction came out. And that is not a fraction that we want. So I'm going to hit second, I'm going to hit second enter. And that's just like recalling what you did. And I'm going to go to math 1, and I'm going to hit enter. And now it's going to be in fractions that are ones that we can read. You're not going to leave it as 0.6667. You're going to enter it as 1/2, 2, that's negative 1/2. So your solution for this one would be 1/2, comma, 2/3, comma, negative 1/2.